building relationships, and building Waterloo Region. 570 News proudly presents Business to Business. Here's your host, Glenn Pelletier.
What's going on in Uptown Waterloo?
Ian, we're on the air. Can you please control yourself?
It was Greg's fault. I was ready. It was Greg's fault.
It's always Greg's fault.
You've been bouncing off the walls the last several shows. What's going on in your life, Ian?
We have chocolate.
Well, yes, we'll get to that in a moment. But
life is good. Life is good.
Is that what it is? Life is good?
It is.
I will say this. Now, maybe there's some truth to this. You always come here right after church.
I do.
Now, if that is not inspiring,
Absolutely.
I don't know what. Maybe that's part of it.
Well, that always is, but today was a particular Christmas service, and it was a great service. So,
well, keep going.
And your dad was in the.
My dad was reading some of the lessons, and I was with my girls. So, doesn't get any better than that.
In case you are not aware, if you're a frequent listener to the show, we often mention Ian's father, the Honorable Walter McLean, longtime Tory MP in this area, and a statesman and diplomat and a class act, and we're delighted to. Consider him a friend of the program.
Kind of like his son, class act.
Yeah. And speaking of class acts, you know what? I shouldn't say this because, it sounds like I'm kissing up to you, but you really are. It's been a great year working with you guys. I believe this is our final show of the year.
Yep.
Of the year,
yes.
Right? If I do the math correctly.
Yeah, our next one is in January.
Right. So Greg DeRocher, the president of the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce, it's been a great year. You've really come into your own on this program. Both of you have become radios.
It's about time.
I was going to say stars, but I don't want to overstate it. But
that might be just pushing.
You've become real personalities, and part of it is, and we were talking to Ted Drew Smith about this, the president of Reed, co-founder and co-owner, president of Reed Chocolates, that he was saying, "Oh, what's it like up there? I'm kind of anticipating being a little nervous, blah blah blah." I said, when you sit down with Ian and Greg. You'll see what it's all about. You don't even think that you're on the radio. And kids go to school.
Ted, do you think you're on the radio? Of course you are.
I'm on the radio.
Yeah. You're on the radio. No,
but what's also refreshing about this, and we often say this is a running joke, but we both have faces for radio. So when you don't have the cameras there, it doesn't
for yourself.
Hey, well, your hair is another question.
I've got hair for radio. I can tell you that.
We should have put Ted over where Ian is, so because the camera there will get.
Anyway, my point is, you guys are naturals. Kids go to school to be taught to speak one-on-one, so to speak, and either you get that or you don't. And you guys you've been great.
Thank you very much.
We have Patty Brooks coming up on the show today. She is the executive director of the Uptown Waterloo Business Improvement Area, and we're looking forward to talking to Patty. And in studio is Ted Drew Smith. He is the owner of Reed's Chocolates.
Everybody.
And this is a name synonymous with Cambridge.
Absolutely. It's an institution.
Right now he's hoarding his box of chocolates.
I know. Well, actually, it's on the other side of the desk, but Ted's actually hoarding them.
I know, that's what I said.
And Ted gets to eat them every day, so thanks, Ted.
And it's been in the Drew Smith family now for 41 years. Ted's father owned it, purchased it in 1971.
1971.
Right? From
right.
the Reeds.
That's right.
Yeah. Thank you. Can we get a shot of this? We're being webcast on at 570news.com.
The square one's the best.
I've always wanted to say that. I've always wanted to say that. Can we get a shot of this? Camera one, can we get a shot of this?
Nice job.
Yeah.
Nice job.
I've always wanted to say that, and ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Rolling Stones. I've always wanted to say. Did you see Jimmy Fallon the other night? He introduced the Stones on the 12-12-12 Sandy benefit concert, and he said he got to introduce the Rolling Stones, which and so many people have over the
a pinnacle of a career.
All those live albums, you hear them being introduced, and there's a class. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome. We're digressing.
Yes, we're talking about retail.
That's not unusual.
At the most important time of the year for retail.
I know you were saying on the way up in the elevator, Greg, that we would be remiss if we didn't at least acknowledge the situation in Connecticut, and it kind of dwarfs and puts in perspective what we're doing here today. I mean, yes, business is the lifeblood of the community, and it keeps people in food and clothing, etc. But I think you were trying to make the point that we should at least acknowledge that we're aware of the significance of it and how, in relation to what we do every day, it puts everything else sort of.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can probably relate to this. That in spite of the fact that we maybe don't know anyone that's affected by this, but just the devastation and the thought of it, just especially those who have young children or who have had young children, and just look at the senselessness of something like this, and And at any time of the year, this is just a ridiculous and senseless thing. But a couple of weeks before Christmas, it just it's devastated an entire community, and quite frankly, I think it's devastated parents around the world.
Mm-hmm.
It just takes your breath away. I got a 9-year-old and 6-year-old, and to know that, my kids could have been at a school like that. And I guess that's one of the blessings that we have to look at here in Canada. I mean, we sometimes talk about the things that are not going well in our within business or within the community, but boy, we're awfully lucky. We repeat that too, that we're awfully lucky to be in this not only this community but in this province and this country.
I sent out a tweet on the weekend that just said, you can't legislate the idiots out of society, but you can legislate the tools they use that make them monsters. And I think it's about time that the U.S. have a look at that and deal with a situation that obviously isn't getting any better. It's getting way worse down there. And
it in many ways has brought the collective consciousness. It's brought us together in some way, acknowledging that the children are precious. And if you're listening right now and you've got a child with you, or you have a child, give them a hug, and our thoughts and prayers are with the families of those victims. By the way, Mr. Obama will be in Connecticut tonight to take part in a special service. We're going to get to Patty in just a moment. Patty Brooks, she is the Executive Director of the Uptown Waterloo Business Improvement Area, but we just want to briefly touch on, we had a chance this week, I had a chance with the 570 News crew to go to Communitech and see a demonstration of the BB10, the hardware and the software. You had a one-on-one with Torsten Heinz.
Well, not one.
Well, you met with Torsten.
Ian went one-on-one.
So you had a little more of an extensive demonstration of the BB10. Your thoughts on it, gentlemen?
It's the demonstration that you guys saw at the Hub on whatever day it was, Tuesday. I mean, they basically did the same demo, but I was really impressed with the speed. The balance, which separates your business tools and your business emails with that encrypted security side, but having what they call the balance, which is basically two sides of so your personal stuff can still be on that device, but it's segregated, so it's not going to infect or not be a part of your business tools. So, and the speed of it is really incredible. So,
and maybe from our perspective, because the meeting that Ian and I were at, Torsten Heinz was there himself, and I think what gave us great comfort was the absolute sincere commitment you can see to this individual and the company, but not only the company but the community of the Waterloo region, and because they were all community folks in that room, and I think it's very good for the region, good prospects for the region, and quite frankly, boy, oh boy, I think it's going to be game-changing in
January.
do
too. I think it's their time. I think Apple, they've done so much in such over an extended period of time. I think they've kind of peaked, if I could think, for lack of a better word. There's a bit of a void there. I think BlackBerry's coming along at a perfect time. So in a sense, I think this delay may have actually helped them.
Well, and we're just reading some of the analysts who have been, many of them who have been very negative for so long, are starting to give credit and saying, those creating the new applications and the new apps and all that sort of stuff are saying it's really good. That so even the naysayers are saying they expect a positive bump here, but they're already saying, well, we'll see. The BlackBerry 10 BB10 is great. We'll have to wait and see for BB 11 or 12. So that's actually good news, is when they're already saying, well, we expect that this new product is going to be.
Do you recall from that demo if there's any changes to BlackBerry Messenger?
There's some enhancements.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I think the comment was that we heard we've seen but a spattering of the new tools and
new applications
and new applicant. And Torsten actually said, I think at the end, there's going to be some new, other enhancements that are going to be announced on January the 30th. And yes, some of them are centered around BBM.
Lovely. Yeah. That's the bread and butter.
Yeah.
Of that particular tool.
Yep.
I know from our perspective, we use BBM all the time, and the enterprise, and there's a lot of exciting things happening with BlackBerry. Okay, we're going to come back with our first guest. You talk about a name synonymous with communities: Reed's Chocolates, Cambridge. Patty Brooks. Patty Brooks. The moment you hear the name Patty Brooks, what do you think of?
Uptown Waterloo.
You think of Uptown Waterloo. You think of this bubbly, ebullient booster of the Uptown.
I always think of Ian McLean, too, because he's always talking about
and the Uptown Waterloo Jazz Festival.
Absolutely.
She's so heavily involved with that. She's so proud of Waterloo and has that infectious personality.
Absolutely.
We're going to come back and chat with Patty Brooks. business and business to business returns. You're listening to Business, powered by Allstream on 570 News.
We'll be right back with more Business to Business, powered by Allstream. Call in with your questions at star 570 570 2545 or 1-800-570-5715. It's who you know. Connecting community through business. This is Business to Business on 570 News. Powered by Allstream. All local, all relevant. Allstream.com. Here's your host, Glenn Pelletier.
And welcome back to Business, powered by Allstream. We should mention, we don't mention enough that we are a webcast. Each show is webcast at 570news.com. We want to thank our webcast producer, Catherine Drake, for taking care of that particular aspect of the show. And we're always in the capable hands of Liz Russell, who has become really, in many ways, our babysitter and disciplinarian. She keeps us in line. And when we get a little off track, Liz just has to come in and lay the law down. And she keeps us. So, Liz, it's been great working with you as well this past year. And we look forward to 2013 with Liz and Catherine Drake. Our first guest really needs no introduction. If you're at all connected with the business community in Waterloo Region, you know who Patty Brooks is. But what's different about Patty this time around, we're not merely going to introduce or solely introduce her as the executive director of the Uptown Waterloo BIA. We can also say that Patty Brooks is a Queen's Diamond Jubilee recipient. Patty, it's great to have you with us.
Thank you, Glenn. That's very nice. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Same to you.
Thanks for joining us, Patty. Now last week or a couple of weeks ago, we had Scott Baird on from Fairview Park Mall, and he talked about the importance of malls and the things that they were doing to try and drive traffic. And we also had the owner of Canada's largest Canadian Tire big box outlet. And we had a very brief discussion with your counterpart from Cambridge on the importance of BIAs and what downtown cores, and in this case an uptown core, are doing. So what are the programs that you and your board have established to try and drive traffic and into the retail sector in uptown Waterloo?
Well, thanks, Ian, for the opportunity. First of all, we love talking about what's happening in uptown Waterloo. And during the Christmas season, we consider our retail season to begin right after the Santa Claus parade. So basically after the third week of November, which gives us a 6-week holiday season retail services opportunity. And in order to bring people to the uptown as a destination, which it pretty much already is, but we do fun things like free horse-drawn trolley rides from our friends in St. Jacobs. And, of course, the skating rink is now open. We have Victorian carolers singing and serenading throughout the core for the 3 weeks leading up to Christmas. We do holiday open house where we invite. It started actually as an incentive to ask our businesses to stay open later on Thursday and Friday nights when otherwise they might not, the 3 weeks leading up to Christmas. So we have a holiday open house for a couple of weekends where we encourage them to, again, stay open later and do special treats and opportunities for our guests. And that's really, really become popular the last couple of years, actually. It's always, or usually, I should say, in conjunction with what's happening over in the U.S. with Black Friday. So rather than us call it Black Friday, we just try to mitigate the number of people that might go cross-border to shop and make sure that they're aware of the great opportunities we have right here at home.
You had your own Black Friday promotion in the Uptown, and that really got the people's attention. A number of your retailers opened early, a number of your retailers slashed prices, and so you really encouraged, rather successfully, people, not to go across the border. There's no reason to.
We think we did. We did a follow-up with our businesses for immediately after we did both of those events, and they were very, very positive. I will tell you that, and you probably know this, across the board, this year retail's been a little difficult. Some businesses more than others, some services more than others. And when I knew I was going to be doing this interview this morning, I went and spoke to several of our businesses, and a couple of things that I found really interesting, and Ian, you'll find this interesting, is people were saying that anyone who comes into the businesses is actually shopping, purchasing, buying, but the traffic itself is down. So I guess I don't see that as indicative of Uptown Waterloo in particular, because our streets are really, really busy, full of people. But apparently, and this is just several businesses and some businesses I spoke to, the people in the door are down, but those that do come in are buying, which tells me there's very targeted shopping going on.
Yeah. Well, I guess last week, Scott was talking about the importance of weather and how when it's snowy, it drives people into the malls. Has weather played a factor this year in as one of the reasons why the traffic may be down slightly?
No, I think actually the weather, the good weather, if that's what you can call it, has played in our favor this year. Although the snow is beautiful and it's indicative of the season, I think that it's been much easier to navigate both downtown and uptown and get here, get parked, get shopping, having fun. It's of course, I might be a little biased, but I think it's a more pleasant shopping experience. You can walk more freely, and there's a lot more to see, and I just think it's a much cooler experience. And in Uptown Waterloo, I certainly can't speak for any other downtowns, but we have 70% of our businesses are independent, and successfully independent, and I think that's a really amazing stat.
Well, that makes it important. Patty, it's Greg DeRocher from the Cambridge Chamber. But
hi, Greg.
Hi. The experts are forecasting that there's probably going to be a year-over-year increase of about 3.6% retail sales. Mm-hmm. How have you? That's an interesting comment that you make, that the retailers are saying, that the traffic is down, but people that are coming in the stores are actually making purchases. Mm-hmm. How have you found it then? How have they found it so far? Are they experiencing that year-over-year increase, or are things still flatlined?
I can tell you last year we found the businesses, the independent businesses in particularly, which is mostly who we pay attention to, found that they had a better year in 2011 than they did in 2010. This year, so far, it's been comparable to 2011. We won't have those figures or make those calls and visits to our businesses until January, of course, when they've had a chance to reevaluate some things. But I was actually surprised that 2011 was such a good year for them. But the absolute majority said that it was. And so far this year, it's been, I wouldn't say flatline, but it's been, I would say, more status quo.
Well, there's also another 8 or 9 days shopping.
The big ones.
The big ones.
We get out.
This is when we get out, because when you plan for the last minute, you're a motivated buyer by that point.
Listen, I'm talking to a bunch of guys. Who are you kidding? You're going out on the 24th.
Absolutely. That's all that's in the stores on the 24th.
I've known you way too long. I know what you're up to.
Yeah, Chris, I'll never forget Christmas Eve 1980. I went out to Towers in mad desperation.
And that was very close to Uptown Waterloo.
Well, this was
in the day.
Yeah, this was in Toronto, but
he was just looking for a store that was open, I think, Patty is.
Exactly.
Now, Patty, there's a couple of other things. You mentioned the public square, and I guess maybe speak about that a little bit and how it draws people to the core. So it's very similar to Kitchener's skating rink in front of Kitchener City Hall, but there's a skating rink there, and there's lots of activities, in fact, daily activities. The Wonders of Winter, I know you've got a couple of displays for Wonders of Winter. I mean, you're trying to make the connection between Waterloo Park and the Wonders of Winter light displays as well, but to draw people with the sleigh rides back and forth between the park and Uptown as well.
Yes, we actually, and thanks for mentioning that, Ian. We have a couple of light displays, so we always want Uptown Waterloo to be at the forefront of shoppers' minds and our guests' minds more than shoppers even, because it's just that far away from the core that it's if you were in the park, you might not realize the core was really so close. I mean, we have 100-something acre park right in the heart of Uptown Waterloo, which is amazing. And the public square in the last 5 years has just come into its own and has just become an amazing part of our culture. Frankly, it's part of the fabric of who we are now. It's the skating rink aside, which opened up last weekend and will be open for obviously as long as we can keep it open, is a big piece of that puzzle. But all of the programming that goes on from the time the rink opens, closes, right straight through till it opens again. So we use it as a satellite stage for Uptown Country, for our jazz festival, our busker carnival, almost everything we do, and that's notwithstanding all the events the city does.
Patty, thanks so much for your time, and keep up the great work with Uptown Waterloo BIA. And we look forward to not only shopping there this holiday season, but we look forward to next year and the Uptown Waterloo Jazz Festival. And you're still heavily involved with that?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Have the greatest of holidays, Patty.
Thank you so much, and you too, gentlemen. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you and your families.
Thank you.
All the best.
All right, that's Patty Brooks. She's the executive director of the Uptown Waterloo BIA. When we come back, we're going to welcome from Reed's Chocolates, the owner. He's in the family for 41 years, Ted Drew Smith, the owner of Reed's Chocolates. When we come back on Business to Business, powered by Allstream on 570 News.
Business to Business, powered by Allstream, a presentation of 570 News. Watch the live video webcast at 570news.com. We'll return with more Business to Business. It's not just what you know, it's who you know. Connecting community through business. This is Business to Business on 570 News. Powered by Allstream. All local, all relevant. Allstream.com. Here's your host, Glenn Pelletier.
Somebody cover for me. I'm eating a...
Yeah, Glenn's just finishing his chocolate, and apparently it was a little too chewy for him. So we're going to get started with our next segment. Oh, no,
Hang
wait a
on.
minute.
Oh, that's lovely. We are joined in studio by Ted Drew Smith. He is the owner of Reed's Chocolates. We're going to chat with him in a few moments. You guys have been around a long time. Your dad bought it in
1971.
From the Reeds.
That's right.
And they go back, what, to the 40s? Or
the business does go back to the 40s. It was called Raymond's in the 40s.
Yeah, a lot of folks will remember Raymond's if you're of a certain vintage. So we're going to hang on, Ted. We're going to get to you and talk about the great success story that Reed's has been for so many years. But right now we want to pick up a conversation that was recorded earlier by Greg DeRocher with our good friend Mr. Ibbotson from what?
I was in on that one too.
Were you in on that too? Okay, sorry. Let me start over again.
Just kidding.
In conversation now with Mark. Is it Mark Ibbotson? Yeah. Is it Mark?
Yeah.
Okay. in conversation with Mark Ibbotson from Allstream, Greg DeRocher and Ian McLean, and it starts with Greg.
Mark, it's Greg DeRocher from the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for joining us on the Allstream segment for Business to Business. And it's great to have you here, of course, bringing us all the information that we can pass on to our business members. Tell me something, Mark. What are some of the challenges that businesses are facing today, and are they changing?
Yeah, it's a great question, Greg, and thanks for having me today. It's something we've put a lot of thought into, looking at our customers and, the challenging trends. And really, we're starting to see a significant change in the technology requirements as adding a complexity in our customers' IT environment. We've seen some recent studies. Microsoft recently did a study that shows the average employee is using 6+ communication tools to communicate in their job on a daily basis. Things like email, instant messaging, video, obviously their phone, smartphone, tablet. And this is creating a major challenge for the IT department on how to deal with this. On top of that, Cisco's predicting in the next 3 years, global internet traffic is going to quadruple, and companies are panicking on how to keep up with that pace and making sure their connectivity is meeting the requirements of the business. The thing that we found most interesting, there was a study recently by IDC that showed that IT executives had admitted that the technology initiatives that they're deploying in their business, they're struggling to find ways to measure organizational productivity against that, something they're now being held to as a standard. And ultimately, something that's been around for a long time is how are they managing costs, cutting costs out of the business to be more efficient. And when you think of those, these are things that our customers are dealing with on a daily basis. And in fact, we feel it's a competing objectives for our businesses, our customers to be dealing with. And what I mean by that is they're being asked to improve the performance and reliability of the infrastructure of their business, and now they're being measured against organizational productivity. How is the technology they're installing driving and improving productivity.
So I mean, there's lots of players in the marketplace. How does Allstream differentiate itself in the marketplace, and how are you helping IT departments achieve their IT and business goals?
Yeah, great question. And really what we look at is when looking at their objectives and how they're measuring success and contribution to growth, what we want to do is come to the table with areas that we can help them achieve that. We do that in three ways. First off, quite simply, is our commitment to the marketplace. Allstream only focuses on providing technology solutions to businesses across Canada. And really, it's not only in the technology we're providing, but it's the customer experience, something a lot of businesses would acknowledge. This industry is not known for customer service, and we've been committed to changing that. We think we're setting the standard moving forward.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been reading a lot of some great advertising on the Allstream service guarantee, because that's, I mean, ease of getting service from your providers is something you just pointed out is a point of contention for a lot of small business. So tell us about the Allstream service guarantee.
Yeah, thanks for asking. We're very proud of it. It's something that we really started to ask our customers, what are the things that you worry about most? And there was three recurring themes. It's when they buy a service, it's the quality of the delivery of that service, the billing accuracy, and ultimately it's a service issue. How do you deal with it? So what we did is we structured a service guarantee around that. It's really made up of 5 areas. We're going to every service you buy from Allstream provide you with a dedicated order manager, and more importantly, we're going to guarantee the due date that we install that service on so you can plan your business around it. On top of that, we will always do a first bill walkthrough. It's important to show that the service we designed for you and that you contracted to and the first bill are all accurate, and we want to make you comfortable with that. Finally, if there's any service issue, we will dedicate a single point of contact as a service resolution expert, and they will own that through to resolution with your acceptance. And then finally, if there's anything we should always expect from our partners is we want to give you the opportunity to speak to a customer of ours to understand what you can expect by dealing with Allstream moving forward in the relationship.
That's great, Mark. Now, the ultimate question we need to pose to you, how does one get more information on Allstream, and how can they get connected so that they can do some business?
Great. Well, for the Tri-City customers, we have a local number, 519-340-0430. And for customers outside of that area, please feel free to call our toll-free number, 855-299-7050.
Good luck with things, and by the way, if I don't speak to you, have a wonderful Christmas.
You too. Thanks very much.
We'll be right back with more Business to Business.
All right, that was Greg Zarosher and Ian McLean in conversation with Mark Ibbotson from Allstream, and we want to thank Allstream for their sponsorship of the program. This show is powered by Allstream, and we encourage you to check out what Allstream has to offer at their website, allstream.com. Speaking of websites, I am on the Reed Chocolates website, reedchocolates.com, and really nice job on the website, Ted.
Thank you.
Joining us is the owner, co-owner, along with his sister, Carrie. Is it Carrie Ann?
Just Carrie.
Carrie. Carrie Drew Smith. Ted Drew Smith of Reed Chocolate. Great to have you with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
So you guys have been, I mean, the history of this company goes back over 60 years. Your father purchased it 41 years ago, and now you own it, and it is a name synonymous with Cambridge, and business is booming.
It is. This year has been very good for us. Typically, we grow at about 2 to 4% a year, but this year, as long as the next 8 days goes as planned, it could be 8 to 10% this year.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, I was going to ask you that first question. What is it like from year over to year? But you and I had an interesting conversation off air, of course, when we talked about, I think we all know, like Black Friday was established because that's the day of the year, the average day of the year where retailers go from red to black, and that's why it was developed. But you and I had an interesting conversation, you talking about, the percentages of business that you do at certain times of the year, and November and December are really important to Reed.
They certainly are. Historically, it's been about 40% of our sales have been November, December. This year, it's going to be closer to 50%. So we can't afford any bad weather, anything that will impede the customers from coming into our store.
And of course, experience is really interesting at Reed's, but it's kind of easy to do the experience thing because you walk in the front door and all you smell is this waft of wonderful, brilliant, enticing aromas that come and grab your nose, drag you over to the counter, and make you buy something. But Is that an emphasis of your experience that you're trying to provide the shopper, or what other things do you do from a business perspective to give that experience? Not to drive them to buy, but people want to be a little bit kind of entertained with either aesthetics or music or whatever. What else do you do, Ted?
Well, a lot of people don't realize that we actually make everything on premise down there. So the smells are important to us. All the packaging that my sister and Brenda, one of our managers, set up for us. We had a customer come in recently, and they said that our store is really like a feast for all of your senses. It's not just taste. It's not sight. It's everything that's going on all at once.
That's cool. That's very cool.
So what are the things? I mean, we've heard from some of the from Patty from the Uptown Waterloo BIA. What are the things that you specifically do to draw people in? So if it's getting people in to see that whole experience of making it and packaging it and the smells, what are the things you're doing to encourage people to come into your shop?
All we really do is focus on making a quality product. We don't advertise very much, and how we get new customers is just through word of mouth. It's
tasting it.
And tasting, of course. But it's we take very good care of making the product, packaging it so it's appealing to everybody, and we hope that they'll tell a friend.
And people are so loyal to Reed. They've been loyal. Generations of families have shopped there, and Cambridge has been so good to you.
Yeah, it's not just only our customers, it's also the people that work for us.
Yeah.
Quite often we have family members of people who used to work for us working for us now. It's
a great
truly is a
story.
family business.
A great success story and a very special time of year for your business this Christmas season. We're going to come back with more with Ted Drew Smith, the owner of Reed Chocolate. This segment of Business to Business is brought to you by Save On Energy, offered by your local electric utilities. We're coming back with more on Business to Business, powered by Allstream on 570 News.
Business to Business, powered by Allstream, a presentation of 570 News. Watch the live video webcast at 570news.com. We'll return with more Business to Business. It's not just what you know, it's who you know. Connecting community through business. This is Business to Business on 570 News. Powered by Allstream. All local, all relevant. Allstream.com. Here's your host, Glenn Pelletier.
And this segment of Business to Business is brought to you by Save On Energy, offered by your local electric utilities, in conversation with Ted Drew Smith. He is the owner of Reed Chocolates in Cambridge, in conversation with our host on the program every week, Ian McLean. He is the president of the Greater KW Chamber of Commerce, and Greg DeRocher, president of the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce. And just in time for the season, Reed Chocolates. We encourage you to go to the website. Your mouth will literally water when you go to their website.
Well, who's not going to have some Reed chocolates over the holidays?
ReedChocolates.com.
Apparently you've had half a box today, so you can strike yourself off the list.
The website is ReedChocolates.com, and can we get a shot of this on camera one? There's only one camera, as far as I know. As far as I know, we're being webcast.
The top half of that box is all Greg.
I don't know.
All the empty ones are in Greg's belly right now. But no, we've all enjoyed the Reed chocolates. They're beautiful.
Well, so last couple of weeks ago, we were talking to Kerry LaRock, who's the retailer at Canadian Tire in Cambridge. I think we heard that was the largest Canadian Tire in the country, on Pine Bush,
in the world,
in the world actually.
Yeah. On the planet. I believe the solar system is
in the solar system. Yeah, this universe or any others that we're aware of right now. But we were talking about online shopping, and he's saying it's becoming more and more part of what they have to do to increase their business and to compete, because there's all kinds of online shopping. So, what are the challenges, or as it becomes more popular, what are you doing to sort of tap that part of the market, and what are the challenges that you face with online, given that you're dealing with fresh product, etc.?
It is a bit of a challenge for us, because really when we can sell product online is only during the winter months, because as you come into summer, it's too hot for us to ship chocolate. It's going to melt. You're going to get chocolate soup. And that's not what we want you to get when you're buying something from us. We want you to have the best quality product that you can. So we have to tell our customers we cannot ship unless the weather. So do you usually
just do that during, so in like October or November or December, so in your Christmas season you would ship online?
Yes, we'll ship anytime the temperature is 15 degrees or below. But what the primary purpose of our website is just to show the customer what you're going to see when you come into our store. You can buy things from us online, but we'd prefer you could come into the store. There you're going to get the entire package of what we can offer.
So if you do have an online ability, what does that represent? Significant sales annually?
No, it's not significant.
No?
Well, it's hard to track because we do have a lot of people going to our website, and how do you measure the people that are coming to our website and then following that up by coming into our store?
Yeah, that's kind of hard because that's really online shopping as well. If they get the information from the website and then drive down to your store, that's if you didn't have that online presence, you wouldn't have got that business.
Well, and this speaks to what Patty was talking about. 70% of businesses, and you're a family-owned independent business. I mean, there's different challenges than when you're part of a chain and a brand that have different marketing approaches to it. So, but you're selling the experience and the natural product, the freshness of it, all those sorts of things. That's what your niche is?
That's it, exactly.
Yeah. Now, you were also saying earlier that you do have people who have lived here, moved away, but want that little taste of home, and maybe live in British Columbia and want that box of chocolates from Reed's that they love to have every year.
Yeah, we ship all over the country. And we find that a lot. People that used to live in the area and they move away and they miss Cambridge and Reed's reminds them of Cambridge. So.
Now you do have some outlets also, not necessarily outlets. They're not Reed's outlets, but you do have relationships with other gift shops around the province that do sell Reed's product as well.
That's right. Yes, different gift shops. Casamia in Waterloo carries our product. Dana Short in Waterloo carries our product.
And for those that are familiar with Reed and have been shopping there for years, their claim to fame, their signature product, gentlemen, if you have not had the tortoise, Greg, you know what I'm talking about? The chocolate tortoise.
Do I know what you're talking about?
This product.
Look at me.
Have you seen him?
This product, for whatever reason, well, it's obvious why, but it really has become this signature product. For those that don't know what the tortoise is, can you explain what's in this thing?
It's pecans covered with caramel, then covered with chocolate.
Nice.
Oh my!
Say no more.
Say no more. Making me drive down to Cambridge this afternoon.
Was it
ridiculous?
How far, who designed the recipe? How far back does it go? Because it's become this signature piece.
I imagine it was my dad that first did it. But we make literally hundreds of pounds a week, almost daily at this time of year, of just tortoise.
I'm telling you, folks.
Is that just for Greg, or is it?
I'm telling you, if you're looking for the perfect chocolate accompaniment for the holiday season, get a box of tortoises.
Oh, yeah.
Tortoise. Get to Reed and ask for the tortoise.
Oh, there's no question.
I guarantee you will love it.
Now, tomorrow night, you're going to be really busy now because people are going to be listening to this station, and tomorrow night in downtown Cambridge, there's a really big event, Unsilent Night. You know what that's all about? And can you share with the listeners what Unsilent Night is all about in downtown Cambridge tomorrow?
I can. I've actually done it the past few years with my wife. It's a bit like a Christmas caroling party, except that you don't have to sing, which is good for people like me. Instead, everybody carries music with you by downloading a song from unsilentnight.com, and then when you get to the Unsilent Night, you actually play it on your phone, and people are walking around this parade route, and there's different light installations and art exhibits, and it really is an amazing experience if you haven't done it before.
Yeah, it's going to be great. There'll be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people
very quickly
coming
now.
down.
You say it's tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night.
Now, how do people get involved? Very quickly, because I know they'll be more.
I think they just show up at
Some
City
folks
Hall.
just want
City Hall.
They want to watch this thing. So
7 p.m. I would suggest being there maybe 6:30, but it starts at 7. City Hall, downtown Cambridge.
yeah, it really is something to behold.
A block away from Reed's Candy and Nut Shop.
All right, but a minute to go, guys. Anything going on at the Chambers?
Well, we're actually we've just finished our Christmas open house last week, so we're actually slowing down until the new year. But Greg and I have been working on a couple of really significant signature events that we're not ready to share right this very moment, but in the first couple of shows in January, I think we'll have some great news on some major events that we're collaborating on. We already do LeaderCast, we do the business expo in November, but we've got a couple other events that are really excited about our two chambers working on, because we know that we'll when we work together, we're much stronger as a business community.
We have the president of eBay Canada coming to our Salute to Women in Business in January as well, so you can get that online at cambridgechamber.com, and of course greaterkwchamber.com has all their events as well.
Yeah, so if you're a member of a local business community, get to know your chambers. Great way to do that is go to their websites, cambridgechamber.com, greaterkwchamber.com. Our guest, thank you so much for coming up.
Thanks for the chocolate, Ted. That's
owner
great.
of Reed Chocolates. Our producers, once again, couldn't do it without them, Liz Russell and Catherine Drake. And thank you for listening. You've been listening to Business, powered by Allstream on 570 News.